wonderful Emma said to me, "You know what, Mum, with the books and everything, you've just found a different way of using your voice." And suddenly everything fell into place, and it's been fine.
Julie Andrews has spent a lifetime capturing hearts with her grace, charm, and unforgettable voice. But recent news has fans around the world deeply concerned. Whispers began spreading quietly, then suddenly erupted as reports revealed an unexpected turn in her life that no one saw coming. Those closest to her say this moment has changed everything, bringing both emotional challenges and surprising revelations. So, could this be her most personal battle yet, or a new chapter filled with hope? Stay tuned, because what happened to Julie Andrews will leave you absolutely stunned. The day the singing stopped. Julie Andrews' story is both tragic and inspiring. After losing the singing voice that had defined her since childhood, she felt as though a part of her soul had disappeared. The stage had been her lifelong home and joy, making the loss deeply painful. Yet her resilience remains remarkable. In her 2008 memoir, Home, Andrews described the magic she felt whenever she sang. She wrote about the way an orchestra rises beneath a performer, gently holding the voice like a warm embrace. She spoke of how a perfect melody feels as if it were made just for you, how the right words can make your heart swell, how a beautiful musical key change can lift you so high it feels like you've left the ground. "It is bliss," she wrote, trying to capture the feeling that had shaped her entire life. It was that bliss she feared she would never experience again. After her failed vocal surgery in the late 1990s, Andrews struggled deeply. In 1999, she checked into a clinic in Arizona for grief therapy, not because she had lost a loved one, but because she had lost a part of herself. Around that time, during an emotional interview with Barbara Walters, she confessed, "I think to some degree, I'm in a form of denial, because to not be able to communicate through my voice, I think I would be totally devastated." Those words revealed a quiet pain she had been trying so hard to hide. Her gift, the voice that had enchanted the world in Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music, was gone. And with it went the identity she had built her entire life around. Yet Andrews did not disappear from the world. She did not retreat into silence. Even though her voice could no longer soar like before, she slowly found ways to step back into public performance. In 2004, she surprised fans when she sang a specially written, gentle piece in The Princess Diaries 2, Royal Engagement. It was crafted to fit her new vocal range, limited, delicate, and very different from the powerful soprano people remembered. But the moment was touching, not because of how she sounded, but because she had found the courage to sing again. Over time, Andrews made peace with her loss. It wasn't quick, and it wasn't easy. In a 2015 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, she reflected on how deeply she had tied her identity to her voice. "I thought my voice was my stock in trade, my talent, my soul," she said. "And I had to finally conclude that it wasn't only that I was made of." Those words reveal a remarkable transformation, the acceptance that she was larger than any one talent, even one as extraordinary as her voice. Instead of fading away, Andrews reinvented herself. She embraced acting roles that didn't require singing. She stepped with full passion into writing, producing children's books and memoirs that touched millions. She lent her voice, not in song, but in narration, to reach new generations. Even without her iconic singing, she continued to shine. 50 years after her unforgettable role as Maria in The Sound of Music, Andrews reflected on a line the film made famous: "When one door closes, a window opens." With gentle wisdom, She admitted the film got it right. What had once felt like the end of her world eventually became the beginning of a different, yet equally meaningful chapter. Julie Andrews' story is more than the loss of a voice. It is the story of a woman who learned that her worth was not defined by a single gift, no matter how dazzling. It is a story of resilience, of grief transformed into growth, and of finding new ways to shine when the old ways disappear. Her journey reminds us that even after life's deepest losses, there is always another window waiting to be opened. What brought the depressed feelings to her? Why was she in that state? Let's delve into the details of Julie's heartbreaking experience that came after her surgery. The voice that fell silent. Every human voice, whether speaking softly or singing powerfully, comes from the delicate vibration of two small folds inside the throat, known as the vocal cords. These tiny bands of tissue work like the strings of a musical instrument. When air passes through them, they vibrate and create sound. But because they are soft and flexible, they are also extremely vulnerable. When someone pushes their voice too hard, especially singers who stretch their limits night after night, the cords can become irritated or injured. Over time, this strain can lead to harmless but troublesome growths, such as nodules, polyps, or cysts. These growths can usually be removed, but the medical world of the 1990s did not yet have the advanced techniques available today. Back then, surgeons relied on tools like forceps or lasers, both of which carried a frightening risk. They could easily scar the vocal cords, and once scarring occurs, the damage can be permanent. Tragically, this is exactly what happened to Julie Andrews. After her surgery, her once healthy vocal cords became marked with scar tissue. Scarred cords are stiff. They do not stretch, bend, or vibrate the way they should. Because of this, the sound they produce becomes rough or raspy. For ordinary people, this might simply be a mild inconvenience. But for Andrews, whose voice had been her signature, the consequences were life-changing. Her speaking voice was reduced to a harsh, strained rasp. Even more heartbreaking, the legendary 4-octave range that had dazzled the world in Mary Poppins, My Fair Lady, and The Sound of Music completely disappeared. A voice once described as pure sunlight was now painfully quiet, unable to rise above a whisper of its former brilliance. Her husband, Blake Edwards, expressed what millions were thinking. In a 1998 interview, he said bluntly, "I don't think she'll sing again. It's an absolute tragedy." Hearing those words felt like witnessing the closing of a chapter in musical history. Andrews had not just lost her ability to sing, she had lost a defining part of her identity. By December 1999, after months of struggle and constant frustration, Andrews took legal action. She filed a lawsuit against the surgeons and against Mount Sinai Hospital, arguing that she had never been fully informed about the risks of the procedure. The lawsuit stated that the surgery had ruined her ability to sing and precluded her from practicing her profession as a musical performer. Even more painfully, it claimed that there had been no reason to perform surgery of any kind in the first place. For Andrews, this was not only a professional loss, but also an emotional one. In a public statement, she confessed what millions already knew: that singing was not just a skill she possessed, but a treasured gift. And a deep part of her soul, "Singing has been a cherished gift," she said, "and my inability to sing has been a devastating blow." Behind those words lay years of discipline, passion, and joy. Andrews had been singing since she was a child. Her voice had carried her from humble beginnings to global fame. It had become a source of hope, sweetness, and magic for generations. To suddenly lose that gift felt like losing a piece of her life story. The case eventually came to a close in 2000, when both parties reached a confidential settlement. The terms were never disclosed, but the emotional cost was immeasurable. No settlement, no matter how large, could restore the voice the world had fallen in love with. Yet Andrew's journey did not end with silence. Though she could no longer sing as she once did, she found new ways to share her creativity through writing, acting, speaking, and inspiring others. Her story remains one of resilience, heartbreak, and grace, a reminder of how fragile the human voice is and how deeply it can shape a life. Why did Julie opt for vocal surgery? Was she battling with any form of ailment? Was she just trying to improve her vocals? Let's find out. Julie Andrews at a crossroads. In 1997, Julie Andrews, one of the most celebrated voices in musical history, found herself standing at a crossroads she never imagined she would face. For 2 long years, she had poured her heart into the Broadway adaptation of Victor Victoria, performing night after night with the same grace and discipline that had defined her entire career. But behind the curtain, something was wrong. Andrews had begun experiencing troubling vocal problems. Notes that once floated effortlessly now felt strained, fragile, and uncertain. Doctors eventually discovered a lesion on her vocal cords. Different reports described it in different ways. Some called it a benign polyp, others said it resembled harmless nodules, but Andrews later explained in 2015 that it felt more like a cyst, a small, weak spot that refused to heal. Still, it wasn't considered dangerous, just inconvenient and repairable. When her Broadway run came to an end, she finally had a small window to rest her voice and recover. But rest was not what the world had planned for her. Victor Victoria was gearing up for a national tour, and the production team, including her husband, filmmaker Blake Edwards, hoped she would continue performing Andrews, known for her professionalism and deep loyalty to her craft, felt torn. On one hand, this could be her chance to let her voice settle, to finally step back and breathe. On the other, she felt a heavy responsibility. A responsibility to the cast, to the production, and to the audiences who adored her. Then came what seemed like the perfect solution. Her doctor offered her a simple medical procedure that promised to remove the lesion quickly and safely. The way it was explained to her, the surgery carried no risk to her singing voice. None. She would be back on her feet and singing again within weeks. To Andrews, who had spent her life doing everything with precision and discipline, this seemed like the responsible and even selfless choice. If a small operation would allow her to join the tour and support the show, how could she refuse? Her whole career had been built on a remarkable work ethic. Whether she was playing Maria in The Sound of Music or Mary Poppins, Andrews had always shown up prepared, dedicated, and respectful of her audience. She was not the type of performer to back out or slow down, not when people depended on her. And so, believing she was making the right decision, she agreed to undergo the surgery. In June 1997, Andrews checked into Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City for the procedure that she was told would restore her voice and allow her to continue doing what she loved most. She entered the operating room trusting the medical experts, trusting the description she had been given, trusting that the operation was straightforward and harmless. She believed this surgery would heal her. She believed she would return stronger. But what Andrews did not know, what she could not have known, was that this moment, this seemingly routine procedure, would alter the course of her entire life. Instead of saving her voice, the surgery would lead to a devastating outcome, one that silenced the extraordinary instrument that had carried her across decades of film, stage, and song. For now, however, in the summer of 1997, all she saw was hope. All she felt was determination. And all she wanted was to keep giving her best to the world that had embraced her. This was Julie Andrews, disciplined, devoted, and endlessly hardworking, doing what she believed was necessary, not just for herself, but for everyone, counting on her. Little did she know that this decision, made with the purest intentions, would become one of the most heartbreaking turning points of her legendary career. Was Julie eventually able to reclaim her lost vocals? What efforts did she put in place to get it back? Let's dive into the details of Julie's battle with her lost vocals. Beyond the song. After her 1997 surgery, Julie Andrews faced a daunting challenge: reclaiming the voice that had enchanted millions for decades. Determined not to give up, she devoted herself to rigorous vocal exercises, painstakingly attempting to strengthen and retrain the vocal cords that had once been effortless instruments of magic. Over the course of several additional surgeries, a specialist named Dr. Steven Zeitels worked carefully to remove scar tissue and stretch the remaining portions of her vocal cords, aiming to restore flexibility and control. These delicate interventions brought some improvement, enhancing the clarity and strength of her speaking voice, which gave her a renewed sense of hope. But the reality was heartbreaking. Despite Zeitel's skill and Andrews' unwavering dedication, the damage to her vocal cords was profound. So much tissue had been lost that returning to her former singing glory proved impossible. As Andrews candidly explained in 2015, it's nothing that is going to grow back. Her singing range had been reduced to roughly a single octave. She could reach low notes, but the middle range, the heart of so many iconic songs, remained inaccessible, while her high notes were fragile and uncertain, a shadow of the brilliance she once commanded. For a performer whose career was built on pitch-perfect precision, the loss was staggering. Yet, rather than resigning herself to defeat, Andrews channeled her energy into exploring the frontier of vocal science. She became deeply involved in cutting-edge research, hoping that one day medical innovation might offer a breakthrough. She donated generously to scientific studies, helped convene leading voices and researchers for a dedicated vocal cord symposium, and even served as an honorary chair for the Voice Health Institute, lending her fame and credibility to the cause. Her involvement highlighted not only her resilience, but also her desire to help others facing similar struggles, turning a personal tragedy into a mission with broader impact. Among the promising avenues of research is an experimental biogel designed to temporarily increase the pliability of vocal cords when injected. The idea is that such a treatment could restore some vocal flexibility and allow singers to regain lost capabilities, even if only for a limited time. The technology is still in development, however, and moving from theory to practice involves long periods of testing and clinical trials. As a result, no solution has yet become available for Andrews, leaving her aspirations of singing again as elusive as they were decades ago. Throughout this journey, Andrews has shown remarkable courage and perspective. The loss of her iconic voice could have been a source of bitterness or despair. Yet, she has turned it into an opportunity to advocate for science and to inspire hope. Her story is a testament to persistence in the face of irreversible change, a reminder that even when the very instrument of one's art is altered beyond repair, the spirit and influence of an artist can endure. She remains an active supporter of vocal health initiatives, pushing the boundaries of what science might one day achieve for singers and speakers alike. Julie Andrews' journey is both tragic and inspiring. A tale of immense talent challenged by forces beyond her control, met with determination, resilience, and a vision that extends beyond her own career. While her singing voice may never return to its former glory, her legacy now includes not only unforgettable performances, but also a commitment to the future of vocal science, ensuring that her impact resonates far beyond the stage. What kind of a person was Julie Andrews? What was she known for? What legacy did she leave? Let's dig into the details of the life and art of Julie Andrews. Stage, screen, and storytelling. Dame Julie Andrews is one of the most beloved and accomplished performers in the history of entertainment. Renowned as an actress, singer, and author, Andrews has charmed audiences across generations with her unmatched voice, poise, and versatility. Her career spans decades and continents, earning her countless accolades, including an Academy Award, a British Academy Film Award, 3 Emmy Awards, 3 Grammy Awards, and 7 Golden Globe Awards. She has also been nominated for 3 Tony Awards, cementing her status as one of the few performers celebrated across film, television, and stage. Beyond these, she has received the Kennedy Center Honors in 2001, the Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award in 2007, and the AFI Life Achievement Award in 2022. In recognition of her extraordinary contributions to the arts, Queen Elizabeth II appointed her a Dame, DBE, in the 2000 New Year Honors. Andrews's prodigious talent became evident early. As a child, she began performing on the West End stage in 1948, and later appeared on the popular radio program Educating Archie from 1950 to 1952, playing the love interest of the cheeky puppet Archie. Her Broadway debut came in 1954 with The Boyfriend, where she was hailed as Britain's youngest prima donna. She rose to international fame with iconic roles in musicals such as Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady of 1956 and Queen Guinevere in Camelot of 1960. Her charm and vocal mastery also shone on television, most memorably in Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella of 1957. Andrews's transition to film was equally spectacular. She captivated audiences worldwide as the magical nanny Mary Poppins in Disney's Mary Poppins of 1964, a performance that earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress the following year. She starred as Maria von Trapp in The Sound of Music of 1965, one of the most cherished musicals of all time, winning the Golden Globe for Best Actress, Motion Picture Comedy, or Musical. Over the years, she worked with acclaimed directors, including her husband Blake Edwards, Alfred Hitchcock, and George Roy Hill. Her notable films include The Americanization of Emily of 1964, Hawaii of 1966, Torn Curtain of 1966, Thoroughly Modern Millie of 1967, Star of 1968, The Tamarind Seed of 1974, 10 of 1979, SOB of 1981, Victor Victoria of 1982, That's Life of 1986, and Duet for One of 1986. She later returned to the screen for family-friendly films like The Princess Diaries of 2001 and its sequel, The Princess Diaries 2, Royal Engagement of 2004, as well as Eloise at the Plaza and Eloise at Christmas Time of 2003. She also brought animated characters to life with her voice in the Shrek franchise between 2001 and 2010, and the Despicable Me series from 2010 till date. Beyond film, Andrews has been a television favorite. She collaborated with comedy legend Carol Burnett in specials spanning decades in 1962, 1971, 1989, and starred in her own variety show, The Julie Andrews Hour of 1973, which won her a Primetime Emmy Award. More recently, she co-created and hosted Julie's Green Room 2008 and 2017, and voiced the enigmatic Lady Whistledown in the global Netflix phenomenon Bridgerton from 2020 till date. An accomplished author, Andrews has co-written numerous children's books with her daughter, sharing her love for storytelling with young readers. Her life in the spotlight is chronicled in 2 autobiographies: Home, a memoir of my early years of 2008, exploring her formative years, and Homework, a memoir of my Hollywood years of 2019, which recounts her experiences in film and beyond. Julie Andrews' enduring legacy lies in her ability to enchant audiences of all ages. Whether on stage, screen, or in print, she embodies grace, talent, and timeless charm, proving that true artistry transcends generations. From her early days as a child performer in London to her celebrated roles in some of the most iconic musicals ever made, Andrews remains a symbol of dedication, brilliance, and enduring magic in the world of entertainment. What were Julie's early years like? Was she raised with musicals? Did she have a luxurious beginning? Let's take a brief look at Julie's childhood. Julie Andrews' early life. Julia Elizabeth Wells, better known to the world as Julie Andrews, was born on October 1st, 1935, in the quiet town of Walton-on-Thames, Surrey, England. Her early life, however, was far from serene. Andrews' mother, Barbara Ward Wells, née Morris, had been born in Chertsey in 1910 and married Edward Charles Ted Wells, a teacher of metalwork and woodwork, in 1932. Julie's conception was the result of an affair her mother had with a family friend, a truth she would only learn at the age of 15, though the wider public would not hear of it until her 2008 autobiography. With the outbreak of World War II, Julie's parents separated and eventually divorced. Both remarried. Barbara married Ted Andrews in 1943, while Edward Wells wed Winifred Maud Hyde Birkhead, a war widow and former factory hairstylist, in 1944. During the Blitz, Wells helped evacuate children to safety in Surrey, while Barbara and her new husband joined the Entertainment's National Service Association, performing to boost troop morale. Young Julie briefly lived with Wells and her brother John in Surrey before being sent back to live with her mother and stepfather, Ted Andrews, in 1940, a decision Wells made to support her daughter's burgeoning artistic talent. Adjusting to a new family dynamic was difficult. Having previously called her stepfather Uncle Ted, Julie was now instructed to call him Pop, while her biological father remained Dad. She found this change unsettling. Life in wartime London was harsh. The family lived in poverty in a dilapidated slum. Andrews later described this period as a very black period in her life, revealing that her stepfather was both violent and an alcoholic. She endured frightening incidents, including 2 occasions when he tried to assault her while drunk, forcing her to lock herself in her room for safety. As her parents' stage careers advanced, the family's fortunes slowly improved. They moved first to Beckenham, then, after the war, back to Hersham, settling in a house called the Old Mews, once the home where Andrews' maternal grandmother had worked as a maid. Ted Andrews, recognizing his stepdaughter's extraordinary talent, sponsored her artistic training. She first attended the Cone Ripman School, an independent arts institution, and later studied under the accomplished concert soprano Madame Lillian Stiles Allen. Julie Andrews credited Stiles Allen as a profound influence, calling her my third mother. "I've got more mothers and fathers than anyone in the world." Stiles Allen, in her memoir Julie Andrews, my star pupil, marveled at Andrews's remarkable vocal precision and rare musical gifts, noting her extraordinary tone and range. Julie herself was more modest, acknowledging her abilities while admitting she could never fully master Mozart or Rossini, despite her teacher's confidence. She described her own voice as very pure, white, thin, with a 4-octave range. Dogs would come from miles around. Alongside her vocal development, Andrews received a comprehensive education in dance. She trained in ballet, ballroom, and tap at both professional studios and her aunt's school, cultivating the grace, rhythm, and stage presence that would later define her celebrated career in musical theater and film. In parallel, she attended Woodbrook School, a local state school in Beckenham, maintaining a balanced academic foundation alongside her intensive artistic training. These early experiences, a combination of personal hardship, rigorous artistic discipline, and the guidance of devoted mentors, shaped Julie Andrews into the extraordinary performer the world would come to know. The resilience and versatility she developed during her formative years laid the groundwork for a career that would span decades, enchanting audiences with her voice, movement, and indelible charm. How is Julie doing today? What does she do now? Does she seem to be satisfied with the kind of life she had to settle for? Let's find out. Julie Andrews. Today, Julie Andrews, the beloved Mary Poppins star, is embracing life at 90 with the same joy, energy, and creativity that made her a household name. This legendary actress, singer, and now author celebrated her milestone birthday on October 1st, stepping into a new decade with the excitement of someone half her age. And rather than slowing down, Julie is doing exactly what she loves most: creating stories and sharing them with her family. One of her favorite collaborations is with her daughter, Emma Walton Hamilton, the creative and accomplished woman she shares with ex-husband Tony Walton. Together, Julie and Emma have built an extraordinary literary partnership that spans decades, combining Julie's enchanting imagination with Emma's storytelling expertise. Recently, the mother-daughter duo revisited one of their past triumphs, The Great American Mousical, originally published in 2010. The book follows a troupe of theater-loving mice who are full of ambition, charm, and big dreams, traits that reflect, in some ways, the creativity that runs in the family itself. This reissued edition shines with new illustrations by Tony Walton, Julie's former husband and a world-renowned costume and production designer. The collaboration has a special magic to it, 3 generations of talent coming together to breathe fresh life into a story that celebrates artistry, heart, and the joy of performance. In an interview with People published on October 27th, Julie shared her delight over the project. "Emma and I just had such a ball writing it," she said, her words carrying the warmth and laughter of a lifelong partnership. Their creative process is as natural and easy as a conversation between close friends. Over the past 25 years, Julie and Emma have written 30 books together, a remarkable achievement that reflects not only their dedication, but also the deep bond they share. They often finish each other's sentences, a testament to their seamless connection and understanding. Working together, Julie revealed, has brought them even closer, blending the joys of motherhood with the exhilaration of co-creating art. Yet, Julie's candor also brings a charming dose of humor to the story. While she is the visionary behind their books, Emma handles all the technological aspects, from typing to formatting. Julie quipped, "Bless her heart, she does the typing for me. Otherwise, we'd be here on the first book still." Her words highlight the playful dynamic between them, a mix of admiration, respect, and gentle teasing. It's a glimpse into a partnership where creativity flows freely, laughter is constant, and love is evident on every page they produce. At 90, Julie Andrews continues to inspire with her energy, curiosity, and generosity of spirit. Her collaboration with Emma not only keeps her imagination alive, but also strengthens a family legacy in literature, proving that age is no barrier to joy, creativity, or shared dreams. The reissue of The Great American Musical isn't just a book, it's a celebration of family, artistry, and the timeless magic that Julie Andrews has brought to generations of fans. But he comes, and both on stage and on the page. From singing in the clouds over London to enchanting readers worldwide, Julie's journey reminds us that passion, family, and creativity can only grow richer with time. Her life and her work with Emma continues to be a perfect example of how artistry and love can intertwine, producing stories that delight the imagination and warm the heart. As Julie and Emma keep creating together, readers old and new can savor the gift of their collective brilliance, one delightful book at a time. So, do you think Julie Andrews deserved what happened to her? Can she ever feel at ease with what she does now? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.